Good day everyone. We are the group 4 and we are going to report about the module 14, which is Rizal's life. Rizal's life about his exile, execution, trial, and martyrdom. So first, his exile.
Rizal exiled in Dapitan. Jose Rizal arrival in Manila on June 26, 1892 had become very sensational among the Filipinos. His popularity feared the Spaniards and as such paid careful attention to his very moves. As she had planned, on July 3, 1892, she founded the La Liga Filipina in the house of the Dorotano Onyonko in Tondo, Manila. 4 days after the civic organization's foundations, Jose Rizal was arrested by the Spanish authorities on 4 grounds. First, for publishing anti-Catholic and anti-fair books and articles. Second, for having in possession a bundle of handbills that published fearless and witch advocacies were in violation of Spanish order. Third, for dedicating his novel El Filibusterismo to the three Taylor, Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora, and for emphasizing on the novel's title page that the only salvation for the Philippines was separation from the mother country, referring to Spanish. Fourth, for severely criticizing the region and aiming for its exclusion from the Filipino culture. His arrival in Dapitan had brought the steamer Cebu, and under heavy guard, Rizal left Manila, sailing to Mindoro and Panay, until she reached Dapitan at 7 o'clock in the evening of June 17. From the day until July 31, 1896, Dapitan became the bearer witness to one of the most fearful periods in Rizal's life. His stay in province was more than he living in exile. It was the period when Rizal had been more focused on serving the people and the society through his civic works, medical practices, land development, and promotion of education. Careers and contributions. Rizal has maximized his stay in Dapitan by devoting much of his time in improving his artistic and literary skills, doing agricultural and civic projects, engaging in business activities, and writing letters to his friends in Europe, particularly to Ferdinand Blumentritt and Reinhold Ross. Rizal as physician. Rizal provided free medicine to his patients, most of them were underprivileged. Don Ignacio Tomarong, who gave Rizal 3,000 pesos for restoring his sight. Aklanong Hacendero Don Francisco Alcaraga, who paid him a cardo of sugar. An Englishman who gave him 500 pesos. Rizal as an engineer. Rizal applied his knowledge with the waterworks system she constructed in the Pitan. From his practical knowledge as agrimensor, she widened his knowledge by reading engineering-related books. As a result, despite the inadequacy of tools or hand, he successfully provided a good water system in the province.
Rizal as an educator. Rizal established a school in Dapitan which was attended by 16 young boys from prominent families. He taught them reading, writing in English and Spanish, geography, history, mathematics, industrial work, nature study, morals, and gymnastics. There was no formal room like the typical classroom nowadays. Classes were conducted from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., with the teacher sitting on a hammock while the students sat on a long bamboo bench. So, during Rizal's exile in Dapitan in 1892 and 1896, nagpatayo si Rizal ng school. Ang tinuturo niya ay ang pagbasa at pagsulat ng English and Spanish language para mas mapalawak pa ang kaalaman ng students niya. Nagturo rin siya ng geography and history para magkaroon ng idea ang students niya about sa mga nangyayari sa bansa. Ganon din sa mathematics para mas lumalim pa at mahasa ang kanilang logical thinking. Nagturo rin siya ng industrial work and nature para magkaroon sila ng practical knowledge. Tinuruan niya rin sila about the natural environment and practical skills which included agriculture, gardening, and crafts. Kasama rin dito ang morals and gymnastics dahil naniniwala si Rizal na balance dapat ang intellectual knowledge and physical knowledge to promote moral integrity alongside health and fitness. So, walang formal classroom si Rizal na katulad ngayon na may mga upuan at board, kundi sila lamang ay nakaupo sa hammock habang ang student niya ay nakaupo rin sa bamboo rack. At ang focus ni Rizal ay ma-develop ang both minds and characteristics of his students so that it is useful for the skills and moral values for them. So next is Rizal as an engineer. Rizal shared his interest with nature to his students. With his boys, they explored the jungles and searched for specimens which he sent to museums in Europe, particularly in Dresden Museum. He also made a bulk of other researches and studies in the field of ethnography, archaeology, geology, anthropology, and geography. And his other discoveries are the Draco rizali, which means flying dragon, Apogonia rizali, which is small beetle, and Rhacophorus rizali, which is rare frog. So, Dr. Jose Rizal had a strong interest in nature, kaya naman he shared it with his students in Dapitan. So, sama-sama nilang in-explore ang kagubatan searching for specimens to study and sent to museum in Europe, especially in Dresden Museum.
Rizal as an agriculturist, a businessman, an artist, a linguist, an inventor.
Romantic affair with Josephine Bracken, an Irish girl enlightened his rather gloomy heart. This girl was the 18-year-old Josephine Bracken. From Hong Kong, she arrived in Dapitan in February 1895 with his blind foster father, George Topher, and a Filipina named Manuela Orlac. Rizal and Bracken instantly fell in love with each in just 1 month. They agreed to marry, which appalled and disturbed Topher. However, the parish priest of the Dapitan, Father Pedro Obac, refused to do so unless they be permitted by the Bishop of Cebu. Because no priest was willing to marry the two, the couple exchanged their vows before God in their own way, which scandalized Father Obac. Rizal and Josephine Bracken exchanged vows on this rock. In 1896, their love bare its fruits. Josephine Bracken gave birth to a 1-month premature baby who lived only for 3 hours. The child was buried in Dapitan, bearing the name Francisco. Katipunan seek Rizal's advice. The Katipunan leader Andres Bonifacio sought the advice of Jose Rizal. In a secret meeting on May 2, 1896 at Bitukang Manok River in Pasig, the group agreed to send Dr. Pio Valenzuela as a representative to Dapitan, who will inform Rizal of their plan to launch a revolution against the Spaniards. Valenzuela left Manila on June 15, 1892 and in 6 days arrived at Dapitan with a blind companion, Raimundo Mata. Rizal outspokenly objected Bonifacio's premature idea for 2 reasons. Number 1, the Filipinos were still unready for such bloody revolution. Number 2, the Katipunan lacked machinery. Before plotting a revolution, there must be sufficient arms and funds collected. Valenzuela also told Rizal of their plan to rescue him in Dapitan, but Jose Rizal disagreed because he had no plan of breaking his word of honor to the Spanish authorities. Farewell in Dapitan. July 31, 1896, Jose Rizal left Dapitan on board the steamer España. On their way to Manila, Rizal successfully performed an ophthalmic operation to a merchant who paid him 50 silver pesos. On August 6, 1896, España arrived in Manila. Rizal, supposedly to board the Isla de Luzon for Spain, but left ahead of time. He was prohibited from leaving the vicinity but was allowed to accept visitors. Rizal has now fallen to the critical or deadly Spanish trap.
Next is his trial.
Rizal arose on September 30, 1896. Jose Rizal was in the Isla Panay ship name, as already said, passport said in Egypt, going to be Medellin. The ship received a telegram ordering Rizal to be placed under arrest. Bernardino Lozaleda, Archbishop, who clamored for the arrest Rizal and said to be the one who started the Philippine Revolution. On October 3, 1896, Isla Panay arrived at Barcelona, Spain, and Rizal was sent to be imprisoned, and Rizal was the interviewed by disposal and said to be he whirled back Rizal to Manila. On the same day, October 3, as Rizal was taken abroad, the colon ship name, which was loaded by Spanish troops. Dr. Rodrigo and Sexto Lopez, Rizal's friends, exerted effort to find a lawyer in Singapore to help Rizal. They picked attorney Hugh Ford and a buy in Singapore to help Rizal. English lawyer in Singapore, but unfortunately, Chief Justin Lonell and denied the request. On November 3, 1897, the colon arrived on Manila Bay and Rizal was taken Fort Santiago. Preliminary investigation. On November 30 or November 20, 1896, Rizal was brought before a Spanish military tribunal by a Colonel Francisco Olive. Rizal was questioned by Col Olive, but that was not permitted to confront witnesses who testified against him. Two kinds of evidence presented against Rizal. 1. Documentary. 2. Testimonial. 15 documents were used as evidence against Rizal. 1. A letter from Antonio Luna to Mariano Ponce, dated October 16, 1888, Madrid. A letter of Rizal to his family, dated August 20, 1890, Madrid. 3. A letter from M. H. Del Pilar to Diodato Arellano, dated January 7, 1889, Madrid. 4. A poem entitled Kundiman, allegedly written by Rizal. 5. A letter of Carlos Oliver to an unidentified person, September 18, 1891. 6. A Masonic document dated February 9, 1892. 7. A letter signed Dimasalang to 10 Los, 1 Zulieta, dated May 24, 1892, Hong Kong. 8. a letter signed Limasalang to unidentified committed dated June 1, 1892, Hong Kong. 9. An anonymous undated letter to the editor of the Hong Kong Telegraph. 10. A letter of Ildefonso Loreto Rizal, to dated September 3, 1892. 11. A letter of Rizal Segundo, dated September 17, 1893. 12. A letter of M.H. Del Pilar to San Juan Tenlos. 13. A transcript of the speech of the Pinky and Emilio Jacinto in a meeting of the Katipunan on July 23, 1893. 4. A transcript of a speech titled Jose Toriano Santiago during the same Katipunan meeting. 15. A poem by Laon Laan Rizal entitled A Talisay.
Oral testimonial evidence was taken and used to implicate Rizal and the Philippine Revolution. First, Martin Constantino. Second, Aguido del Rosario. Third, Jose Reyes. Fourth, Moises Salvador. Fifth, Jose Dizon. Sixth, Pio Valenzuela. Seventh, Ambrosio Salvador. 8. Francisco Quezon. 9. Timoteo Pais. 10. Deodato Arellano. 11. Pedro Serrano Lactao. 12. Antonio Salazar. And last, Domingo Franco. After the preliminary hearing, it was decided that there was prima facie evidence against Rizal, and Governor General appointed Capitan Rafael Dominguez to institute charge against Rizal. Judge Peña's recommendations. Rizal must immediately sent to trial. He must be held and present under necessary security. His properties must be issued with order of attachment, and as indemnity, Rizal had to pay 1 million pesos. And instead of a civilian lawyer, only an army officer is allowed to defend Rizal. Rizal's defender. Lieutenant Luis Tavil de Andrade, First Lieutenant of the Artillery, brother of Jose Tavil de Andrade, the bodyguard of Rizal. On December 11, 1896, Rizal was charged with the crime of rebellion, sedition, and the formation of illegal associations. Rizal replied that 24-27-46. He does not question the jurisdiction of the court. He has nothing to amend except that during his dapitan in 1892, he had not dealt in political matters. He has nothing to admit on the charge against him. He had nothing to admit on the declarations of the witness. He had not met nor knew against him. Rizal's defender. On December 13, 1896, he was detention. Rizal released a manifesto that he denounced the revolution and condemned Katipunan for using his name without his permission. On December 20, 1896, Rizal, together with his counsel Lieutenant Tavil de Andrade of the Spanish Artillery, prepared for his defense. 5 days later, on December 25, 1896, Christmas Day, Rizal was informed that on the following day at 10 a.m., the Council of War would convene. Rizal wrote his counsel Tavil asking for a conference prior to appearing before the council. However, it was not known whether such a pre-trial conference between Rizal and his council took place. Actual trial. On December 26, 1896, Hall of Banners of the Cuartel de Españas. He was accused of 3 crimes: rebellion, sedition, illegal associations. Penalty. First, life imprisonment or death of rebellion and sedition. And number 2 is a correctional imprisonment and a fine of 325 to 3250 pesetas for illegal association. And defending himself, Rizal presented 12 arguments.
12-point defense of Rizal. 1. As testified by Pio Valenzuela, Rizal once again rebellion. Rizal defense argued that if he were truly a revisionary, he could have encouraged. 2. He had not writing letter addressed to the Katipunan comprising revolutionary elements. Without his knowledge, his name was used by the Katipunan. Rizal claimed that he had no contact with the Katipunan or other revolutionary groups, further emphasizing his commitment to peaceful reform. 3. If he really was guilty, he could have escaped while he was in Singapore. If he was guilty, he could have left the country while in exile. He could not have built a home, bought a parcel of land, or established a hospital in the Pitan. Rizal asserts that he was unaware of Katipunan's existence and that they were using his name for their own purposes. 4. If he was really a leader of the revolution, the revolutionists should have consulted him. Rizal highlighted his decision to return to the Philippines despite knowing the risk, suggestion his innocence. 5. He did not deny that the road by laws of the La Liga Filipina, but to make things clear, the organization was civic association, not revolutionary society. After the first meeting of La Liga, the association vanished because the exile in the Pitan thus did not last long. His action in the Pitan, where he established a school and engaged in community work, demonstrated his commitment to peaceful progress. 6. If La Liga was reorganized 9 months later, he had no idea about it. If the La Liga had revolutionary purpose, that Katipunan should not have been organized. Rizal pointed out the lack of communication between him and the Katipunan, suggesting that he was not involved in their plan. 7. If Spanish authorities found the letters have better atmosphere, it was because in 1890 his family was being persecuted, resulting to their disposition of properties and deportation of all his brothers-in-law. Rizal classified, and the Liga Filipina was intended to promote civic engagement and reforms, not to incite rebellion. 8. He lived in exemplary life in the Pitan. The politico-military commanders and missionary princes in the province called attends to that, emphasized that the La Liga Filipina was dissolved after his exile, further distancing himself from any potential revolutionary activity. 9. If according to witnesses, the speech the deliver of Doroteo Ongonocos House has inspired the revolution, then he wanted to comfort his person. If really was for the revolution, then why did Katipunan send an unfamiliar emissary to them in Dapitan? It also so because all his friends were aware that he never advocated violence. Rizal argued that he was not involved in any subsequent organization of the Liga Pilipina. 10. It was decided that Rizal will be executed by Mosquera Governor General Camilo Fallavilla confirmed that sentence Teodora Alonso write the Governor General asking for clemency for her son. Rizal defense highlighted the facts that the Katipunan replaced the Liga Pilipina, indicating that the latter was not the revolutionary organization. 11. Macanyan Place, Rizal's sister, pleaded to Governor General Povavilla stay Rizal's execution, but the military court remained indifferent to the pleas of Rizal. Rizal defense emphasizes his peaceful and productive life in Dapitan, further discrediting the associations of rebellion. 12. The court judges Rizal guilty for the charges that voted for the death penalty. Rizal challenged the credibility of witnesses who claimed that his speech had inspired of revolution, requesting the opportunity to confront them directly. November 28, 1896, Governor General Polavilla approved the decision of court material and ordered Rizal to be shot at 7 o'clock in the morning of December 30 at morning
at Bagumbayan Field. So, good day everyone. I am Edsel Kyle Merculio and I'm gonna discuss about Rizal's execution. So, on Rizal's last day, at around 7 a.m. of December 29, Rizal was transferred to his death cell in Fort Santiago. Rizal spent his last 24 hours in his death cell. When his family came to see him, he asked pardon from his mother and talked to his sister as they entered his cell one by one. He also wrote letters. He gave his sister, Trinidad, an old petroleum lamp, and he told her that there is something inside, and it was Rizal's famous farewell poem, which is the Mi Ultimo Adios, means the last farewell. So the things that happens in his last day was he is visited by his family, which is his mother. He asked forgiveness from her. He also talked to his sister one by one, and at last he also gave something to Trinidad, which is the old petroleum lamp, which contains his last poem that he wrote during his last day also. At ang nakasulat doon ay ang kanyang mga pamamaalam or habilin sa kanyang pamilya. Ganoon na din ang kanyang habilin sa mga kaibigan, at sinabi niya rin doon na magpakatatag sila, at inilagay niya rin doon kung gaano niya kamahal ang kanyang bansang Pilipinas, at hoping na ang kanyang kamatayan ay magsilbing simula sa pagkamit ng mga Pilipino ng kanilang karapatan at kalayaan mula sa mga Espanyol. And then next, so a few minutes before 7 on the morning of December 30, 1896, Dr. Jose Rizal walked from Fort Santiago to Bagumbayan Field or also known now as the Luneta. His arms were tied behind his back. His head was erect, his conscience was clear, and there was a smile on his lips. Rizal, red and calm, took his position opposite to his executioners. His last words were those of Jesus Christ, consummatum est, which means it is finished. Then roll of drums and volley of artillery accompany the firing of the soldiers. So ayun nga, dinala si Rizal sa Bagumbayan Field na nakatali ang kanyang kamay sa kanyang likod. Ngunit wala kang makikitang bahid na takot o kanumang pagsisisi sa kanyang mukha habang siya ay naglalakad patungo sa Bagumbayan Field dahil alam niya sa sarili niya na ng kanyang ginawa ay para sa kalayaan ng kanyang bansang Pilipinas. At bago pa man siya barilin ng mga Espanyol, ay sinambit niya muna ang mga katagang consummatum est, na ang ibig sabihin ay it is finished o tapos na. Accepted niya na ang kanyang kamatayan or tanggap niya na mamamatay na siya. At ang kanyang kamatayan ang simbolo ng kanyang sakripisyo kung gaano niya kamahal ang kanyang bansa dahil handa siyang mamatay, makamit lang ng kanyang mga kapwa Pilipino ang kalayaang nararapat sa kanila. So after nun, Rizal was secretly buried in Paco Cemetery in Manila with no identification on his grave. His sister, Narcisa, toured all possible grave sites and found freshly turned earth at the cemetery with guards posted at the gate. Assuming this could be the most likely spot, there never having any ground burials, she made a gift to the caretaker to mark the site RPJ or Rizal's initials in reverse. So after siyang pagbabarilin, hindi siya binalik ng mga Espanyol or hindi binalik ng mga Espanyol ang katawan niya sa kanyang pamilya. Bagamat nilibing nila ito ng palihim or inilibing nila ito kung saan walang nakakaalam. Ngunit ang kanyang kapatid na si Narcisa ay hindi nagpatinag at hinanap kung saan man siya inilibing. At meron siyang napansin na isang bagong bungkal lang or bagong tabon lang ng lupa sa isang sementeryo at kapansin-pansin din ng mga gwardyang nakabantay sa gate nito. Kaya naman naniniwala siyang doon inilibing ang kanyang kapatid na si Jose Rizal. Kaya naman ang ginawa niya ay binayaran niya ang isang caretaker doon para iukit ang initials ni Rizal nang nakabaliktad para hindi ito agaw pansin at mapansin ng mga gwardyang Espanyol. Ngunit kalaunan, nailipat din siya kung saan mas prominent na lugar, which is yung Luneta Park ngayon, na kung saan maitinayong monumento niya in honor of his sacrifice in bravery. So now, let's proceed to his martyrdom. So, how do we consider someone as martyr? So, a martyr is someone who chooses to sacrifice their life or face pain and suffering instead of giving up something they hold sacred. So, martyr means kahit alam mong masasaktan ka or may mangyayaring masama sa'yo, mas tinatanggap mo yun or mas gusto mong ikaw yung makaranas nun para lang maisalba or mailigtas yung mga taong minamahal mo. Yung tipong mas gusto mong ikaw yung nasasaktan at nagsusuffer kaysa sa ibang tao. And next, so Rizal could have saved his life as he had been warned by his friends not to return to the country. He could not be dissuaded, and before returning to Manila, he left a letter to his friend in Hong Kong Dr. Marquez, to be opened after his death, in which there is a part of the letter that wrote, "Gladly do I go to expose myself to peril, not as any expiation of misdeeds, but to complete my work and myself over the example of which I have always preached. A man ought to die for duty and his principles. I hold fast to every idea which I have advanced as to the condition and future of our country, and shall willingly die for it, and even willingly to procure for your justice and peace." It means, may choice naman si Rizal na masave ang buhay niya dahil binalaan na siya ng kanyang mga kaibigan na huwag nang bumalik ng bansa dahil mainit pa ang dugo ng mga Espanyol sa kanya dahil nga sa kanyang mga ginawa. Ngunit si Rizal ay di nakinig sa kanila dahil feeling niya ay di siya successful or na-feel niya yung mga kababayan niyang Filipino. So, bago siya umuwi, ay nagsulat muna siya ng liham sa kanyang kaibigan na si Dr. Marquez at kanyang bubuksan after mamatay ni Rizal. At nakalagay roon na tanggap niya anumang mangyari sa kanya dahil para sa kanya, ng kanyang kamatayan ang makakapagpamulat sa mga Pilipino na ipaglaban ang kanilang karapatan at kalayaan against sa mga Spaniard. At ang kanyang kamatayan ay hindi dahil sa mga maling nagawa niya, kundi ang kanyang katapangan na kaya niyang magsakripisyo o isakripisyo ang buhay niya para lang sa ikabubuti ng kanyang bansang Pilipinas. And it is also interesting to know that 14 years before his execution, Rizal already predicted that he would die in December 30th. He would then a head of medical student in Madrid, Spain. So he wrote his prediction and dated it at January 1, 1883. He says there that 2 nights ago, that is December 30, I had a frightful nightmare. When I almost died, I dreamed that imitating an actor dying on a stage. I felt vividly that my breath was failing and I was rapidly losing my strength. Then my vision became dim and dense. Darkness enveloped me. They are the pangs of death. So, nakakamangha na bago pa man mangyari ang kanyang kamatayan ay na-predict niya na ito 14 years ago bago yung actual na kanyang pagkakamatay. So, amazing, right? So, ganun ka-gifted si Rizal. Na-predict niya ang kanyang kamatayan 14 years before his actual execution. So, next. I die just when I see the dawn break, through the gloom of night, to herald the day. And if color is looking my blood, thou shalt take, poured out at need for thy sake, to die with its crimson the waking ray. So that is the third stanza from his last poem, which is the Last Farewell. So the third stanza means that he compares his death as to the breaking of dawn after a long night. It symbolizes a hope and a new start of new day for the Philippines. He also expressed his willingness to sacrifice his life, saying that if his blood is needed, it will help color the dawn, symbolizing how his martyrdom will inspire the Filipino people's struggle for freedom and bring about brighter future for the Philippines. So, why is Rizal considered as a martyr? So, he was martyred for defending the cause of the nation and its people during the Spanish occupation. So, Rizal was considered martyr for defending the rights and freedom of the Philippines during the Spanish colonization. So, sa pamamagitan ng mga isinulat niyang libro na Nolimi at Alfili, dito na-expose ang mga kasamaang ginawa ng mga Espanyol noong panahong iyon. At dahil dito, nagkaroon ng idea at namulat ng mga mata ng Pilipino at lumakas ang kanilang loob na ipaglaban ang kanilang kalayaan at karapatan against the Spaniards. So, it is the heroism of Rizal in the face of death that inspires many. And what is really significant is not how Jose Rizal died, but how he lived. So, that is why Rizal is considered one of the national hero of the Philippines, is because of how he accept and sacrifice himself and his life so that he can open the minds and eyes of his fellow kababayan. And he did it in the most peaceful and silent way, which is by writing the books Nolimi and El Filibusterismo, about how evil the Spaniards are and how the Filipinos struggled during the Spanish colonization. And his intellectual contribution and commitment to his principle continue to inspire new generations, and making his legacy about his action and ideas, not just about his martyrdom. So yeah, Rizal sacrifices his life just to save us Filipino from the Spanish colonization. So we should thank him and honor his work, and we should never forget what he did for our country and never neglect what he have done for us so that we can achieve our independence from the Spanish colonization. So I hope you understand and learn something from this module, which is module 14, and thank you everyone for listening.